Thank you and welcome to the show this morning. The topic this morning is the African American press, dealing specifically with the Urban Journal. And we're fortunate to have with us to talk about the African American press and the Urban Journal, the producer or the editor, the publisher in a real sense, is that right,
Correct.
Mr. Latham?
Yes.
Of the Urban Journal, Mr. Sam Latham. And of course, Mr. Latham, let me welcome you to the show this morning.
Dr. Haney, it's always a pleasure to come on the show with you.
And to tell you how delighted we are to have you, because you bring us so much excellent information. As a matter of fact, let's see if we can start off by having you to give us some information about yourself, your background, education, and things that were important, and eventually leading you to believe that you ought to become involved in the newspaper profession and similar kinds of information.
Well, actually, Dr. Haney, that process began rather early in my life. Never knew that I would actually end up being in the newspaper business, but there are certain things and events that took place in my life early on that I guess formed the seeds for me later getting into the business. And I think it dates back to the early days in elementary school in Sweetwater, Tennessee. It's an eastern city in the state, right below Knoxville. Came up through Jim Crow days in the 50s. And so I started selling the Pittsburgh Courier when I was either 4th or 5th grade. I remember it sold for 10 cents, and I had a route, I think, about 40 customers. So I got half of that $4 that we sold the paper for. But more interestingly, I really became hooked on black news because we didn't have an opportunity to see what was going on in black America that much from East Tennessee. And to read about people covering the White House, an African-American reporter, to see all the things that were going on, the movement, the seeds of the movement was beginning at that time. And I had a cousin, Oscar Robertson, who played basketball, and it was a way that I could keep in touch with him when he was at the University of Cincinnati as a student. And so really became a big fan of black newspapers at that time. And went to high school there in Sweetwater, was fortunate in a small city where you have really a very nurturing environment. My first cousin taught me English, and I found out I liked to write, although did probably better in sciences than I did in history or some of the other things. Did well in English, so. And coming to college, after graduating, went to Tennessee State University in 1964, and was a member of the first honors program that was instituted at the school, which was a real pleasure. And it was very rewarding being in that program because we had to do a lot of reading. We read books and discussed. We took the pro and con positions on various books, and that helped to, well, let's form a thirst, or a thirst for knowledge. So even though I majored in biology, I remember my freshman year they had a writing contest, and I won a little contest for a short novel, and that sort of, but all this probably just went somewhere in the subconscious. It wasn't really a part of any specific design at that time.
As far as you knew.
As far as I knew, right, right.
Very good.
So after graduating from Tennessee State University in 1968 with BS in biology, taught school at Cameron High School, taught high school biology, and then I guess certain things began to happen that hadn't been planned. Companies were beginning to hire African Americans into management programs where they would specifically help develop your talent. So part of, I went to work for Marketing Research Company of America, and part of my development was going to grad school. And so I matriculated in the MBA program at then University of Tennessee, Nashville. And found I really loved the business end of things, especially marketing. So working with Marketing Research Company of America gave me a great opportunity to find out about how businesses really plan their growth, and how you could really just decipher from the marketplace and almost predict what your business can do based on the demographics and psychographics of the people that are your target audience. So a little later on, went to work for a newspaper. Again, wasn't planned, but I became
And let me interrupt here, Mr. Latham, just a minute here for our first commercial break, after which we'll come back.
Sure.
And we'll let you pick up at that particular point. And we'll be back with our audience following this very, very short commercial break. The topic is the African